excited. I kept this from your producers because it's too good for me not to have told you as we're running live, because this is a full circle moment. But I've actually met you before.
Okay.
And
Really?
my ex-boyfriend many years ago was a huge Stephen A. Smith fan.
Okay.
So we watched you and Skip every single morning. And then
Right.
we went to a Knicks game and he was like, do you think you can get him to give you a handshake? And you were coming in into like after the game had ended, you were obviously in the front. We were not that close. Right. And I was like, Stephen A. Smith, please shake my hand. And then he caught it on camera and then you gave me a high five and it basically made our whole life, just so you know.
Well, listen, I'm glad we have a fond memory together, but it's a pleasure meeting you. And just for the record, you are not in enemy territory. So I've got a lot of questions to ask you. But before I even get into all of that, I hear congratulations is in order.
Yeah, congratulations to Candace Owens. She's having her 4th kid. I mean, woo, shout out to her. Hey, man, having kids is always a blessing.
Mother of 3, expecting a 4th child. Is that true?
That is correct. 8 more weeks to go here. So it's just a factory over here. And thank you very much. It's a blessing.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you and your hubby and your family and everything like that. Wishing you nothing but the best. Let's get right to it, Candace. First things first. You know, when you saw the election results take fold and you saw Donald Trump win the election, popular vote, electoral college vote, et cetera, what were the thoughts that ran through your mind when you saw the results transpiring?
You know, I think that the first thing I thought was that old school expression, it's the economy, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've done a lot and everyone's screaming at each other all the time. There's been all these social movements and he versus her and black versus white. But at the end of the day, people just weren't living well under the Biden regime. I call it a regime, but it gets down to how was I living? What were the gas prices? How expensive are groceries? Are you willing to try something different? And I think genuinely,
I ain't gonna lie, things were a lot more divisive under Biden. The whole black versus white, bro. That argument got heated, bro. Like, what else? Oh, yes, of course, the liberal versus the conservative. That got hella heated due to, you know, Trump's presidency and all that. There's a lot of things that, I'm gonna be real with you, we used to be able to have I would say, a more cordial approach to this type of stuff. We didn't used to hate each other over having a difference of opinion or lifestyle. Now, hey, man, if we're not, for some reason, if we're not in the same bubble, it's like we just can't align. If we're not in the same groups, for some reason, we can't talk. I mean, it's even gotten like that religiously. Like, I've been even hearing where Christian Muslims are now separating from each other. Like, they see themselves walking in the grocery store, they're going to walk 2 different ways, as if they can even tell who each other is. That's the funny part. But all right, let's keep it going.
There's a fatigue that is setting in, that has set in, that was beginning to sort of percolate, of people that are just exhausted with being angry. Do you know what I mean? Like the media constantly selling, this guy's this guy's that, she's this.
And I ain't gonna lie, I felt her on that, because that's what it was for me. I got tired of always having my emotional strings pulled on to be angry at, oh, you need to be angry at the white man today. Next day, you need to be angry at the conservatives. Next day, you need to be angry at your own damn people. It's like, bro, there was never a talk on, you know what, we need to unify. No, there was just always talks on who you need to separate yourself from. No unification, just separation. And then they wonder why all these liberals be lonely.
She's that. I think we're all just tired, and that's kind of a good thing.
Do you believe that Donald Trump won the election, or that the progressive left and their thought process, their policy, some of the things that they were spewing, it was more a product of them losing?
Well, I mean, both things can be true.
That's what I've been saying. It wasn't about him winning. It was about America saying, nah, he's closer to normal than what the hell we're hearing over here. We don't like this. And that's what transpired. What do you think it was?
You are completely on the money with that. It was really more that the left lost. And it was a weird, it was very strange to watch Kamala run. I will say that, because she really only ran for 100 days, right? Trump had been running throughout four years, basically, kind of upset about the loss in 2020. And she kind of just comes in and it's almost like a coronation, which I think was disrespectful to the left-leaning voter base. Like, it was just, well, he has kind of said he's knighted me and therefore I am the person that you should be electing. And she didn't really work for it, and rather was, I think, quite accusatory. If you don't elect her, it's because you have an issue with women.
And I'm weak. Shout out my man Big Wave Dave starting us off right. He said, I had my dem gun range buddy talk some stuff after Trump won, asking if I was going to visit my son in Brazil. Now he's trying to find out if I'm going to wedding. Oh wow. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that's an asshole joke, bro. Like, wow. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny, but it's hella fucked up. It's like, bro, really? Like, that's fucked up as hell.
Women. I don't think Obama's speech to the brothers, the quote unquote brothers, helped him any. He's been
I know, oh yeah, I already know what you meant. His wedding though, and he wants you to come to the wedding after you made a joke about your son possibly getting deported. Yeah, I would have to leave him on the red. I have to leave him on red. Actually, I would make sure I know that I read his message. I don't care how, but I'm gonna make sure I read that message and ignored it.
He's been gone. He's in Martha's Vineyard, living in a house, God knows how much it costs, not something I could afford. And then he kind of reappears to sort of lecture the brothers about their responsibility. And I just don't think it sat well this time around. Just a different time, a different audience, and people kind of realizing, hey, that's not really enough. Paint me a vision. Tell me what you're actually going to do for me. Don't tell me that it's just simply my responsibility to give this woman votes.
Yep. And that's how they did us in the Black community. I'm asking, and I'm like I said, like I have liberal parents and all this good stuff. I have liberal family members, and I'm asking them straight up, like, all right, why should I vote for Kamala Harris? Like, when she hasn't really done too much for her country. Well, at all. Like in governing, she's done actually worse. She's done pretty bad. We bring up what she did in California. I mean, you really shouldn't be voting for her. You know what they told me? You should give her grace. I'm like, grace? Bro, what? I'm like, okay, well, can you at least, all right, I'll give her grace if you can explain to me how she's going to achieve where she's going to go. Like, because she can't explain it. Maybe y'all are hearing something that I'm not. Because you know how it is. When they ask me about Trump, they obviously don't listen to him, or if they do, they listen to the little clip. So I kind of got to fill the blanks in. So when I ask them to fill the blanks in with me, what Kamala's saying, they're hitting me with you just need to give her grace. I'm like, all right. Can't disrespect the elders, but sometimes you just got to look at them and walk away. And shout out Big Wave Dave. He says, don't talk about my family. I mean, no, for real, though. All right, guys, because there has been some crazy things going on in the chat, and let's leave family out of things, okay?
Because she's a woman.
You know, I want to transition back to Trump in this regard. We just saw it. That world just saw. It wasn't a press conference or anything like that. I don't call it that. Him with Ukrainian President Zelensky and how he went at him and what have you. Now, Zelensky, if I remember correctly, you didn't speak too highly of him. I want to make sure I'm quoting you accurately. You called him a homosexual actor. Is that true? Did you call him that?
I mean, bro, when it comes to Zelensky.
No, fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch. Fuck that bitch.
Well, I ain't got no respect for America.
I also just called him the neighborhood crackhead, kind of just goes around asking for money. I've called him a welfare queen, ghetto. And this is the thing. The media kind of had me depicted throughout BLM as this person that uses these words to describe Black people. I'm like, no. Let's be very clear. When I'm calling somebody like Zelensky a welfare queen, there's a reason for that. You come here with your hand out, asking, making demands. It's funny because I was having a discussion with my husband about this, and it's people that tend to need the most that make these sorts of demands, and they're so arrogant. He's taken billions away, unaccounted billions, by the way. So you and I have to get to work because Zelensky wants his borders protected, and we can't have our borders protected because that would be a racist thing to ask for. But he's allowed to demand that you and I get to work. He spent all the billions. His wife is shopping in Paris. The oligarchs in Ukraine are all buying yachts. And yeah, I have absolutely no respect for him, but I want to say
and make sure y'all double tap that screen and like the video. And also, it is a bit wild how the oligarchs in Ukraine are buying yachts, but y'all want to talk about Putin's oligarchs. I mean, hilarious.
Bruh.
It's kind of funny how they can steer you off in one direction and you ignore the atrocities on the other side. It's like, that's why you should learn to look at things more neutral.
I have not respected that man since day one. This is not something that's new. I just saw him coming.
It's not something that's new, but what about Trump and Vance and how they conducted themselves? You and I might disagree on this particular issue because I don't disagree with what you're saying in terms of, I was on the record saying, listen, you're coming with your hand out. You need money. You might not want to be confrontational. You might want to be a bit more diplomatic, Zelensky, because you're the one that's in need. And Trump wasn't wrong when he said, you don't have any of the cards. You don't have any of the cards. The flip side to it, however, is that the press conference, you're in the Oval Office. We know this is the White House. This isn't someplace in Ukraine. And he's got broken English, and you got the vice president interrupting him. You got them, I thought, somewhat bullying him to some degree. I just didn't think it was necessary. It was a good look. That's where I'm coming from. Am I wrong in feeling that way?
No, I think you're perfectly, I mean, these are your feelings. They're valid, right? If that's how you felt. For me, I felt it was refreshing. I'm so tired of politics. I know they always button it up for us. They're constantly telling us, oh, this, and saying things that sound good, but don't actually result in good things. And I think it was sort of the frustration of how much he has taken from America to not come with some respect. And I likened it to, even when you go to your granddad's house and it's your birthday, your mom kind of makes you wear something special. You know, he's going to give you a card and slip some cash in there, $100. Granddad's always good for that. And you just come with some decorum and some respect. This dude has been wearing military fatigues for like 5 years now. Okay. Put on a suit. As soon as he gets out of the car, Trump's like, well, he's dressed up. This should let you know, this should signal to the public that what he's doing is an act. Why? Give me a scenario, a reason why he can't put on a suit. Even if you're in the midst of a war, why can't you put on a suit when you're coming to ask for money? Well, because he wants people to see him as a guy that's downtrodden in the trenches. And he's not that. This guy has been on the cover of Vanity Fair. He's been on the cover of Vogue. He's been on the cover of Forbes. He's doing photo shoots. He did a 3-hour podcast.
And all of those, I don't even think he wore a suit in those. So, man, this man Zelensky, I'm gonna be real with you. I think it is a bit petty and to get on this man about wearing a suit, because I mean, where has he worn a suit? Like, shoot, please. I mean, no. So please, somebody prove me wrong. Show me where Zelensky pulled up, asked for money, actually wearing a suit. Because last time I checked, he pulls up to everybody asking for money in a tracksuit.
With Lex Friedman, he asked and was declined a spot to go to the Oscars a couple of years ago, and so this is making a mockery. It's just making him put on a suit.
See,
you know,
this is why people got to be careful about messing with you, because I was getting ready to disagree with you until you threw out those last. Like, I didn't know he tried to go to the Oscars. I didn't know he tried to be on the cover of Vogue. I didn't know that stuff, Candace. I honestly didn't know. Okay, that does change it a little bit.
And he is a literal actor, by the way. You know that, right?
That I know. What I will say this, so any sympathy for the fact that Russia did attack his nation? I mean, that there is some sympathy for that, right? We see the rubble. We see the catastrophe that is Ukraine. We see Putin bombing them for crime.
And guys, you have any questions, comments, disagreements? $2 and up. I'll go ahead and read it out loud, react to it. I'll even probably go in a deep dive depending if your question is that interesting. But you got to go ahead and send that mug in, read it out loud, top of the screen. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Now, we've seen that happen, right?
Yeah. So the thing for me is, and the reason why I say that I've had this opinion since the very beginning, is I don't rely on politicians. I think all politicians lie. And so I was reading the transcripts leading up to this moment of Putin's speeches and Biden's speeches and trying to discern what the truth was. And Putin was saying, you guys gave us assurances that NATO was not going to expand 1 inch eastward into our territory. Essentially, NATO is a military. We were putting a military on his border, despite in 1989, when the Berlin Wall came down, as a condition, an agreement for them to agree to take down the Berlin Wall. We promised, and you can go look at this in NSA declassified documents. James Baker was the Secretary of State at that time.
Yes, he was.
We promised them that we would never move NATO eastward. So you have to.
Damn, in declassified document, we had to get. Well, she had to get declassified. I mean, we damn near kept it a secret that we even made this promise.
What?
Yeah, we pretty much hit it that we even made the promise to Putin that we said, look, bro, we'll make sure NATO don't approach on your border. And then little do we know, nah, really, we're just going to wait maybe 10, 20 years after. And then we're going to come for that shit. And then we're going to get mad when you actually try to defend your border. Like, a little bit strange. Now, let's go. Make sure to like the video, guys. Double tap that screen.
The memory that they have, and they're going, why are you now doing that? Now all of a sudden we're saying that Ukraine is going to join NATO, and he's saying this is unacceptable. America can't keep changing its mind. And so when I was able to validate what he said and to read the speeches, you cannot walk away from that without an understanding that we are the aggressors. Everything that we say Russia is doing, recreating the Soviet Union, we are doing that. What is the European Union? What is NATO? And we've been getting away for it for too long under this guise of quote unquote spreading democracy. So I fundamentally disagreed with what I saw as Western propaganda trying to paint Putin as a monster for holding us to our promises and not telling the public that. He just randomly woke up one day and just said, I want to do hood rat stuff with my friends. And he went into Ukraine. That's a fairy tale. That's not what happened. And
that's what's crazy, because I didn't know that was the belief. Like, I honestly, I thought people just didn't care. I thought people didn't care about Russia wanting to, protect their border. I thought y'all just didn't give a fuck. That's why I used to make the argument on, well, if somebody did it to us, what, we're not supposed to give a fuck? But no, really, they really thought this man woke up just one random day and just said, you know what, bro, fuck it, man. Let's get Ukraine. This F them, bro. F NATO, F America. We just taking that mode. No, that's not what happened. I mean, Putin's not that gangster.
Not beyond that, like you saw when he sat down with Tucker Carlson, he asked to join NATO himself. Why are we not having a productive relationship with Russia? I call that Cold War hangover. People that grew up under their desks, afraid of a nuclear bomb, can never see Russia outside of being villainous. And quite frankly, I think Zelensky he suspended elections. He's locked down churches. He's locked up nuns. I'm a Christian. I don't like this guy at all.
That's Candace Owens being quite honest. I get that part. Let me transition to you specifically and get to the real reason I wanted you on this podcast. First, before I even get into that, I want to ask you, I know your voice is very, very powerful. For those of you who don't know, top 10 on Spotify. I mean, you're one of the top podcasters in the nation, if not the world. I know everybody tries to listen to you, and they should, because you are not an idiot. You know what the hell you're talking about, and you can challenge anybody, and I give you credit for that. I got to ask, however, though, leading up to the election, your voice was far more conspicuous in the past over the last several years than it was right before the election. Am I wrong in saying that? And if I'm right in saying that, why was that?
Yeah, so there were some life changes, obviously. I was pretty publicly fired. So there was a lot of things that I was just doing, trying to start my own business and to get back onto the airwaves. But going back to what I said earlier, I have had sort of a fatigue with politics. I was quite bored, really, with the same arguments. I need a little...
Nah, and here's the thing that we all know why Candace got fired from the Daily Wire, or she had to leave the Daily Wire, because she started talking about Israel. Like, it was all good. You ever notice how Candace could low-key go on anything, any tangent, like deep dive everything, and it was all good until she started talking about a certain group of people. That is where things got a little shaky for her. And I'm just like, dang, I mean, you can go off on white people all day. You can go off on black people all day, Asians, Hispanics all day. But as soon as you touch on these certain group of people, what, you get fired? I mean, that's not fair, but hey, that's what they were doing there at the Daily Wire. So to the Daily Wire, that's loss. I mean, y'all lost Candace Owens. That's tough.
Bit of a challenge. And for me, I like people to argue things honestly. Whatever your opinion is, it's totally fine, but just let's argue honestly and not use all of the same rhetoric. And so to be this far into, this is like the third time Trump is running and we're seeing the same thing. Oh, everyone who supports him is a racist, is a sexist. I'm just bored, and I've always, by the way, been very passionate about culture, vaccines. I'm also a mom now. So in the beginning, I was married. I had no children. Now my interests have naturally shifted since becoming a parent. And so I think people are seeing more sides of me.
And we got over 100 y'all in here, man. Do me a favor, guys. Let's double tap that screen. Let's get us to 50 likes and hit those 3 dots up there in the corner to like and subscribe to the channel. But you're just trying to like it, double tap that screen for me.
And in many ways, I'm growing up publicly, and it's been refreshing, refreshing to kind of take people on the journey and to show people that I'm not just a Trump supporter, which the media did a very good job of painting that caricature of me.
You don't think that's an act? You don't think that's I don't want to call it a caricature, but you don't think that's an accurate description of you as being a Trump supporter?
No, I am a Trump supporter, but I'm not just a Trump supporter.
Understood.
And I think in the beginning, they kind of made it seem like I was always angry, always talking bad about Black people, which is like any person that listens to my podcast. White people get it 10 times worse, but the media will only pluck a clip when I'm speaking about a Black issue. And then it's, oh, there she is again saying stuff about Black people. They did a very good job of conditioning, I would say, the public just via the mainstream media.
I mean, bro, they conditioned the public to really think that Candace is a self-hating Black person, Candace, I mean, oh, she went against BLM. Oh, she think that George Floyd killer was innocent. Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise. I do too. So now what? It's like, well, we all can't be Klans members. Like, come on. So one thing I did appreciate about Candace is that she went outside. Whoa, the narrative that was being fed to us in the Black community, and she was giving us a different, well, not now say story, but she was giving us the facts. She was giving us the truth, even if the truth is something that we did not want to hear. Even if the truth was mean that we need to look inside ourselves and realize that, yo, it ain't about white supremacy, it's about us. Shout out Candace.
Media and flashy headlines to think that I had, like, they called me like a self-hating Black person. Right. It was completely wild. It was out of control.
Well, listen, this is the thing, and this is the thing that gets me in trouble, because obviously me being a Black man, me being a centrist, sort of center left as opposed to center right, I've been one that was inclined to vote Democratic, you know, at least for the presidency for the vast majority of my life. If it was anybody other than Trump, I think I would have voted conservative this time around. I'm sort of becoming even more enlightened. I'm going to use that word because I was so disgusted with the left and what I saw. My patience is run thin at times. And then I've listened to you over the years. And one of the things that I didn't like is like what you just described, what people would say about you. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Is she wrong? What is she saying that you disagree? Yeah. How come you can't say you disagree with and make your points as to why, like she does, as opposed to just attacking her? Yeah. Which brings me to my next question. What's it like being a Black conservative?
Actually, you know what's even crazier? If you ask most Black people, like, what is Candace Owens' arguments? Like, they don't know. They just know that they should hate her. That's all they know is hatred. They do not know her arguments. They don't know her personal life. They just know that, oh, I hear Candace. Oh, we hate her. I'm like, what if she said that you hate her for? I don't know. All I know is that Roland Martin don't like her, so I don't might like her either. I'm like, really? So y'all just following the followers? Okay.
Conservative in America. Nobody better ask this question than you.
Honestly, it's a hell of a lot easier than it was when I first got into this back in 2015, because that was the first time they saw Trump, and people just could not see past how could this possibly happen. And I think the media had a stronger hold on people's minds then than it does now. Now we've seen the explosion of independent media. People are able to get their voices out outside of the New York Times and CNN and Fox News, and that's helped tremendously to defeat all of these media caricatures that are being created. But I find it now, it's pioneering, to put it in a nice way. And I think it's the most rewarding thing ever when what I have found is that if you just stand for truth, even in the beginning when it's really hard and people say terrible things about you, and I've been called everything you could possibly imagine, then there's that moment, even if it takes years, where they do come back and they say you were right, particularly about BLM. I mean, I was hitting the drum about the finances so early, and I'm going, I'm not saying that.
I mean, $80 million for baby daddies and trans and gay agendas and gay organizations. Bro, a Black man died. We give millions of dollars, $80 million in total, and it all went to bullshit. Actually, none of it went to George Floyd. But here's the crazy thing. I always thought this was like shiesty as hell. But George Floyd's family want to sue Kanye as if Kanye is the one reason why, George is dead. Like, that didn't make no sense. Like, you didn't want to sue Black Lives Matter because y'all knew y'all was gonna get, vilified throughout the Black community, but you wanted to sue Kanye because he's an open target because of this whole, because we've been saying against the Jews. Like, really now? Honestly, our own people, bro. Our own goddamn people, bro. Bruh. Killing me with this shit. Own people, bro. Mm-hmm.
You don't have feelings about this thing, but I am telling you something else is going on. And this is going to harm the Black community in the end. This money is just going to be zapped out of communities, and communities are going to be destroyed. And then when that was proven right, it was so refreshing to hear people say, yeah, we kind of hated her for a really long time. We're kind of saying this for a really long time. And then, the fraud of Patrice Cullors and what they were doing with the money. And so my brain just works differently. I am different, and I'm happy being different. I don't want to be the same, but I also do respect. I think I've learned in the process as well is to just respect where people are at. My sisters did not like where I was at when I started speaking in the way that I was speaking.
How many sisters do you have?
I have two sisters, and they're my best friends. So one is a year older, one's a year younger. So we're like a trio.
So they sandwich you. They sandwich you. They won't get you. They sandwich you, huh?
Well, they just didn't really care.
Right.
You know, to me, that's Candace. I've always been different, you know,
Right.
and they didn't know what I was on or what I was thinking. And now this last election, they voted for Trump, which is crazy. Like that means they were fully on the left and they just sort of saw it. And so it's just been cool to see that. And they now like my podcast. Before they didn't even listen to it. But we always had, I grew up obviously in not obviously, but my family has a great sense of humor. And that was one of the worst things I hated about BLM is that I've always thought that Black people culturally, we're the funniest. Like, we're the funniest. You always want to go listen to Chris Rock.
And this is where I am slightly racist. I do believe that Black people are the funniest.
What?
I know. Call me a damn villain. Call me a racist. But maybe it's just my competitive nature for my people. I think we're the funniest. There you go. I said it. I'm pretty sure you can name some great white comedians. But you know what? I can only say the white ones. And anybody else, you can't compare it to the Black people and the white guy and the white people. We got it. Okay, we got it. We're number one in that one. Well, us number one, they're number two. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Chris Tucker, and you saw that removal where everything was just taken so seriously. We're so easily offended, and I hated that. I thought the best parts of what the Black culture represented to me growing up was removed, and for me, my sisters, they never cared. Like, I'd be like, can you watch my cat? I have to go to a Trump thing. And my sister would be like, oh, are you going to another one of your Klansman rallies? Like, yeah, I'll watch your cat. You know, it's always a joke.
Yeah. And I get it. And I guess for me, because I think about it, and I remember when you showed up, I believe it was in Paris, you were with Kanye West and you were wearing the White Lives Matter shirt and what have you. And I said, damn. And I was upset. I was actually upset at you. And here's why, Candace, because I looked at it and
I remember I seen that and I was like, oh, she's trolling y'all. I'm sorry, Dad. She's trolling y'all. That's really what it was. Oh, white lives matter because Black Lives Matter was acting like a bunch of fucking babies. I'll be real with you. It was a little childish when they say, oh, Black Lives Matter. They say, oh, all lives matter. Y'all cry. Be like, oh, that's an opposition to our protest. I'm like, no, to be honest with you, it's kind of just common sense. It's like, bro, when y'all say Black Lives Matter, we're not saying that Black lives don't matter. We're just giving y'all the statement of, oh, well, all lives matter. Like, we should care about anybody who gets killed unjustly, right? Right. I think we should all agree to that. You just can't sit there and say, well, it's an opposition to our protest. Nope. Because it doesn't go against your protest. I mean, going against your protest would be like, I mean, Black people are 1/4 human. That's going against the protest.
And I said, no, don't give the ammunition. Don't give the ammunition. You can sit up there and you can talk to folks about your views, what you know, and educate folks without them being closed-minded because they saw something and visualized something and automatically deemed that you were against us as a people.
Right.
So, I mean, as you reflect on a moment like that and you talk about the Black community and politics, how do you feel? How do you gauge what's the right thing to do and what's not the right thing to do?
You know, for me, the discussion and polite discussion, it doesn't work. I have found that. You can go back and watch me on stage with T.I. and Killer Mike. And
yeah, not with Black liberals, bro. The condescending Black liberal, bro, is a thing, my man. I mean, you could try to come with them like with respect and all that, but they're just going to talk down on you. They're going to act as if you're just the most, I just believe you're just extremely uninformed and all this. Like, are you serious? Bro, it'll be a Black liberal that will come with no facts, no statistics, but then say you're informed.
It doesn't work with the Black community. And I have a theory on this. And I think partially it's because we have this instance of father absence, but there's a lot of attitudes. And if you try to come politely, you're just going to get disrespected. And so in terms of the White Lives Matter shirt, first off, Kanye, that's how he communicates. He communicates with art. That's like, this was Kanye's thing that I was stepping into, but I understood what he was saying there because he is someone that does not like, no one puts Kanye in the corner. No one tells Kanye what he has to be. And so when you start saying, oh, I'm going to superimpose you just being a Black victim onto someone like Kanye West, and you know, he hated when white people would come up to him and say Black Lives Matter. So he's like, okay, you want to patronize me? Oh, let me patronize you. Your life matters too, right? Like, oh yeah, like white lives matter too. And I want you to know that white lives matter. Your life matters. He never liked that.
And he had actually a pretty good argument. He said, yo, my kids are half white. Why would I tell them that half of them don't matter? That's how far the left was honestly going with Kanye West. I mean, they were trying to make this man look like a villain so much. It was like, you should deny the whiteness of your children. Like, yeah. Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not say that.
The patronization of it. And so I felt the same way. And we communicate differently. I usually am using more bombastic words, but that moment to me, especially as someone who grew up and really Kanye's music kind of gave me the courage to be myself, to not have to be an archetype of what a Black woman should be. And it was a moment for me that I reflect on very fondly. And yeah, it broke the internet, and it started a lot of conversations. But imagine if Black people were just like, yeah, every time I saw a white person, I'm with you, but your white life matters. It's just, there's something about it I just don't like. It wasn't for me.
You brought up the use of bombastic words. You used that with George Floyd as well, who was murdered by a police officer in Minnesota. And obviously a lot of people in the Black.
Random thought. This is a random thought here, but Candace damn near needs to be like the female Andrew Tate. The female Andrew Tate, because she low-key got with everything going on for her. I mean, she's married to a multi-millionaire, and the guy ain't no beta male. We all know that. Like, bro, she got her own career, multi-millionaire, bro, her in her own right. I mean, like, bro, she's damn near like the Andrew Tate for women. It's like best example of womanhood you can give her. It's like, bro, if I had a daughter, I'd be like, you know what? Here, look what she's doing, okay? She was able to get herself a multi-millionaire, still act like a wife, still have her own thing going on. Shout out to Candace. Shout out to Candace. I mean, for more than just Black women, too, just women in general.
Black community had a real problem with you as it pertained to that. That brings me to this question.
You're right, because she was like the Tate version, though. You're right. If she was like the Tate version, she'd have 3 multi-millionaire husbands, and they all bought her a Bugatti. Okay, now I'm done. All right, let's go.
When you take these positions, does it enter your mind? I don't want to use the word vitriol because I think that's a bit too strong and that's unfair to you, and I don't want to do that. But when you consider the fact that so many people in the Black community have voted Democratic since the civil rights legislation in 1964. We remember what Lyndon B. Johnson said, that, you know, you pass this legislation and we'll have the Negroes vote for us for the next 200 years. Remember that statement? I know, I remember that statement. I'm wondering, because of your knowledge of politics, your obvious knowledge of the issues, when you speak on these things and you take positions about, you take such positions, particularly if it's antithetical or the antithesis of what the Black community will point to, do you think about it and do so on purpose because, dare I say, you're disgusted with us as a community for being hoodwinked by the Democratic Party in your eyes? Is that possible?
So that's a very good question. And disgusted would not be the right term for it. Frustrated, yes, and constantly trying to give people the facts so that they understand that Lyndon Baines Johnson was an avowed racist and he hated us, and yet we are doing everything that he wanted us to do. We are reacting emotionally and not rationally.
And I did hate that. When I heard that statement that, oh yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson, he's going to have these niggas, voting Democrat for the next 100 years? It kind of pissed me off because I'm just like, you know what? The Black liberals claim that, well, we're going against white supremacy. We're fighting white supremacy. But y'all been in lockstep with white supremacy for about 50 fucking years. It's like, that's crazy. It's real tough to think about that. Oh, y'all say y'all fighting white supremacy. We're trying to fight white power, but you've been in lockstep with white power for what? 50 plus years. Hilarious.
We seem to be a stereotype of irrationality. Actually, all we have to do is make them feel something and they won't react. And I want to be clear, it's not just Black Americans. The Me Too movement was another manifestation of that. That's why I'm doing this Harvey Weinstein series. But what really does upset me about the Black community is that the manner in which we defend criminals, you will not find this in any other community. Okay. So white person gets shot, killed, unarmed. They're not coming out. White people are not coming out and burning down their own neighborhoods, right? They're going to be like,
you see
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, what happened with George Floyd has always been a thing in our community. Like, we've always glorified, the villains in our community, I'm gonna be real with you, the people who just don't do good. All right, the evildoers or whatever, and we glorify these people. It's been that way. Bro, and the people in my neighborhood, the guys who go around shooting people who died because, you live by the gun, you die by the gun. When they died, there was literally people out there going like, oh, I wish he would be back. I just wish I could see him again. I'm like, this motherfucker was a terrorist on the street. He shot innocent people. What do you mean can bring him back? No, leave him in the ground. Sorry, but that's just how I feel about that situation. But yes, that's kind of what we do. It's like, bro, some guy who's, the most hoodlum person in the hood. I mean, bro, lie, cheat, stealing cars, like all the types of stuff gets locked up. Bro, we got people out there talking about free my nigga. What? Free him, boy. No.
Black community attacked me for going off about OJ being celebrated. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, they've conditioned us to actually defend the worst in our communities. They just will let it go. You think Chinese people are going to run outside if they're like, well, listen, this guy was high on fentanyl. He got into a brush up.
And we got 200 plus of y'all in here, man. Do me a favor. Double tap the screen and like the video. And hit the 3 dots up there in the corner. And if you have any question, comments, disagreements, or jokes, send in $2 and up. I'll go ahead and read it out loud and post to the top of the screen. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
With police officers and he died. Chinese people will be like, especially Asian moms are just dead serious. They'd be like, you idiot, you know, good for you. So you're an embarrassment. Never come home. This is how Asian women are. They have a standard. You think Jewish people are coming outside and going to, rally around? No. They all know that they think of that as like a natural process. We don't want to associate with that. And we have the exact opposite mindset. And when I say the exact opposite, I mean also the reverse of that being that the most educated and the most accomplished people in our community, in terms of their intellect, we reject. How can we ever get ahead, right? Condoleezza Rice. No, she's a traitor. She's an Uncle Tom. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice. He's a traitor. He's an Uncle Tom. But Dr. Ben Carson, a literal brain surgeon.
And I'm telling you, look, soon enough, and I trust me, I see it coming. S.E.T. Oh yeah, he's an Uncle Tom. He's a white supremacist. He just love white people, Yep. I bet he has a white girlfriend. Never dated a white girl in my life, but I do love white girls. I mean, hey, shout out white women. Is that what am I supposed to hate them? I've never understood that. Like, what am I supposed to hate white women? Like, I don't hate them. I may not date them, but I don't hate them. Like, they cool people. They nice people when you meet them outside in the party. They get you lit. Shoot, then when you meet them out there in public, I mean, what, bro? A white woman saved my life. How am I supposed to hate white people? Like, really think about that. Like, some of y'all really don't know the duality of life. It's like, bro, it's hard for me to hate white people when a white person doesn't save my life.
Black people will call him stupid. It's crazy. So there's no way Black America can get ahead with that backwards mindset where you put George Floyd on a t-shirt and you denigrate and disrespect someone like Clarence Thomas. I'm just not with it, You
got a new platform called Club Candace, and I'm wondering how important is I know you're going to speak your truth. You have proven that time and time and time again, okay? But in the process of doing so, as you have this new platform, how important is it for you, if at all, to reach and resonate with the Black community, or to really, really provoke change all across the board, particularly in the United States of America? Where do you lie with that?
Yeah. The number one thing is for me to reach people who want to hear the truth. And so that comes in all different shapes and sizes and colors. And our demographics have really changed. It's very mixed. People all around the world. Like I have, shockingly, I would say in Africa, they absolutely love me. I mean, like the amount of Nigerians who listen to my podcast daily, Uganda. So it's not a color thing. It's important for me to get information out that I don't think would otherwise be available. So with Club Candace, I have my vaccine series. I am quote unquote anti-vax, don't vaccinate my children. And I want people to know why. I want people, especially if you want to talk about something Black Americans should learn about, it's the vaccine industry. We were targeted, what was sent over to Africa to experiment and make people infertile. Hispanic women, Native Americans, and Black Americans were experimented on. And this is the stuff that matters. And so also obviously the book club, to introduce them to the books that I read outside of the school system that kind of helped forge a lot of my opinions, a lot of my political opinions. And so that's really fun that we meet every 2 weeks. And so you're just getting kind of whatever goes on in this headquarters of crazy. It's all happening at Club Candace.
Make them a sandwich. Why real women don't need fake feminism. Explain that title, please.
We just need to destroy the feminist movement. It's just so toxic. And I think that on the heels of Kamala's loss and, women are unhappy because they're being told to compete with men. We are not like men. We are not built like men biologically, mentally, physically. We are just not men. And the idea that to be equal in society, I have to have the same aspirations as a man is going to be something that makes women chronically unhappy, which is what we're dealing with today, and learning the real history of feminism. And I'm mimicking Gloria Steinem, a famed photo of her, who was actually a CIA operative, will wake people up to the fact that these decisions that are being told to you of like, yes, the feminist movement was amazing, was the CIA looking for a way to tax households two ways. And it
Bruh.
has not led to the enriching.
Oh, my bad, guys. Appreciate the support on that one. Good thing I caught that. But shout out to Candace, because I actually like the book, though. I actually like where she's going with this, because real women don't need fake feminism. Yes, because feminism takes everything that's good about being a woman out of you. I mean, what? The purity, they tell you to go out there and live a whole life. I mean, what? To be a sweet person, they're telling you, oh, you're submitting to the patriarchy. You should be loud and rambunctious, like, I don't know, a stereotypical black woman for some reason now. I mean, they're pushing that out there. Everything that makes being a feminine woman great, they want to take that away from you. Everything that makes being a woman great, they want to take that away from you. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it, because the same feminists that told y'all to let these dudes in y'all sports, and y'all let them, and look what happened there.
Of the household. It has not led to the enriching of our life experiences. And the biggest joys in my life are being able to be at home with my children and my husband. And I'm just tired of being told that that makes me somehow backwards. We got to defend men.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about that. Not even a little bit, all right? You recently interviewed former Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein from prison. Why did you want to talk to him, and what was the most surprising?
And this is why I say that where Candace Owens do gain a lot of guy support, because she's one of the few female few female podcasters, whatever you really want to call her, social commentators that actually stand up for men. Like, bro, one of the few that went against the Me Too movement. One of the few that stood up for Andrew Tate. Like, come on now. The one thing that Candace support is a strong masculine man, and we should stand behind her in supporting a well, I would say this, a strong feminine woman in her purpose.
Thing you got from it?
Well, I'm sorry, a strong feminine woman in her femininity, however y'all women want to frame it, okay?
I have been a hater of the Me Too movement since day one. Even before I had sons, and now I have 3, I knew that we need due process, and watching men lose their entire lives on the basis of an allegation. I mean, I could have literally ruined your life, Stephen. I could have been like, he touched my hand at that Knicks game, and I remember this, and cry. You've been done, canceled, over, forever. And that's wrong, okay? Because women lie. Men lie, women lie, facts don't lie, and we need due process. And so the Harvey Weinstein case, someone brought it to me and said, take a look at it. And I actually thought he was guilty when I first got on the phone with him in prison. And we're totally on different sides of the political spectrum. But a friend had reached out and said, I think you'll be the only person that will actually take a look at this and tell the truth. And I've just always been committed to telling the truth. And it is my belief, and I think that once I show the public the facts of this case, that Harvey Weinstein was wrongfully convicted, and his case just got overturned in New York, as it should have, and now it's being sent back down in the appellate courts. So it's got to be retried. And I just want we got to go back to the beginning. We got to put this genie back into the bottle and back into the Me Too bottle, and it all begins with Harvey Weinstein. And so I'm really excited about bringing that series forward.
Got you. Before I let you get on out of here, my producers in my issue mispronounced Kamala Harris's name twice. I want to make sure you didn't do that on purpose. You didn't do that on purpose.
I just don't know how. What is it? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris.
Kamala
Harris.
That's what I said.
I don't care. I'd have really hit Stephen A. Smith with the, well, look, bro, she's not our president or anybody important right now. So
we do not care.
Said Kamala.
That's right. Don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right. You said Kamala, but don't even worry about it.
Send her to me. She's got an issue.
I got you. Listen, I know you got to go. Thank you for your time. I just want to say one thing to you. I've interviewed a lot of liberals on this show. I'm telling the conservatives they're welcome on the show too. If I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm right, agree with me. I'm not in this.